Welcome to Old New World episode 3. So, yeah, that's a long ass series that is going to be really, really long. And so last time we left, Romania became a puppet of the Soviets. The referendum of Taiwan and Korea was starting, and we're going to getting into decolonization. So yeah. So now we're considering the first thing we're going to talk about is the continuation of decolonization in at least sub-Saharan Africa. And let's begin. And yes, so that's what we're starting with, the first wave of decolonization in Africa. So as you can see, there are a few changes compared to our own timeline, like in the previous video. So the two Congos are uniting, because yes, Chad actually is giving independence with the Central African Republic. The reason being that in this timeline, not our own obviously, is that Chad is mostly made of deserts, and giving them these colonies, this part of the French colony is actually of the ex-French colony in that case, is going to help for economical growth without making the country broke. And now that some of you may say that it's unrealistic, but like fun fact, that was one of the reasons why South Sudan wasn't giving independence and was part of Sudan, is because the British thought that South Sudan would just not survive on its own. So it is realistic because it did happen with, like I said, South Sudan. So Portugal is not decolonizing. In East Africa, well, there's a confederation made. Why? Because I said so. And those two countries don't get independence since they stay with the Congo. And those here actually don't become independent and join as department the rest of the country that actually owns them. So except for this, this is under French occupation, but like this is going to be giving back to the Spanish government. And talking about Spain is actually finally beginning the occupation, and as to be sure that they never become ultra nationalist again, the monarchy is bringing back. And so Spain exists again, and not just as under occupation and all that. Yeah, so this is Spain now. The land taken by France and Greece are actually part of the World War II peace deal, and are going to be annexed by those two countries, by the respective countries, obviously. And so Spain is now on the map again, and they decide to not decolonize their colony in sub-Saharan Africa, because they're like, well, it's small enough, we're giving them it's now Department of Spain, no part of mainland Spain. Now then, we're going into East Asia, with the referendum in Korea and Taiwan to either become independent or stay with Japan. Now, Taiwan stays with Japan, and Korea decides to become independent. And what happens will totally shock you. They got split into, Yes, they actually got split. What a shocker. I didn't saw that coming. Not at all. So the two countries are dividing into North Korea and South Korea, like in our timeline. And like in our timeline, guess what happens? Korean War, exactly. With the leader of North Korea, which I will not try to spell his name because I will butcher it, and also because I forget the first leader of North Korea. But like in our timeline, North Korea pushed back South Korea to this point. The US calls a coalition from the United Nations, which repels back North Korea. And normally, what would happen is that China sends 500 million volunteers. Yeah, trust me, bro, they're totally volunteers. But like as you can see, not only does China does not have 1 billion people and is not fully united, they're still kind of scared of an invasion from South China, so they send forces to have North Korea, but not as much, which is going to allow for South Korea to push a little bit further than in our timeline, making this the border. So yes, there was a Korean War in all New World. In Finland, what happens? Well, Finland, has an election and the monarchist party wins the election and is like, well, we have to be monarchist. But, they still, get the Finland, the thing where they're allied with the Soviets. So, and they have, they get three person, one is related kind of to the Romanov family, so bad idea because you got the Soviet Union as your kind of forced ally, and they're probably not going to like that. A Swedish king, but no, or someone from the Hohenzollern family, Catherine Victoria, which I think was still alive because it's 1950. 55 because the last episode ended in 1952 and this episode started in 1953, so I'm not sure if she was still alive, but if she isn't, it's like, I don't know, her son or something. Just, yeah. So yeah, Finland is now a kingdom and is trying their best to, cool the Soviet Union about that situation. Like, this is fine, bro. And now we get to Germany. Now, Germany is still occupied, of course, but, well, it's a Cold War, so this is not eternal. And like in our timeline, not Italy, Germany gets split in two. And yeah, it gets split, like in our timeline, the Soviets don't agree to unification, so East and West Germany it is. In Hungary, what's happening in Hungary? Well, normally, the leader, damn it, I forgot his name, the leader of Hungary, normally it was supposed to be temporary, and at some point they were supposed to get a king. And, there still is no king, so, the Hungarian people are still waiting. So at some point, because, the Habsburg are now back in Austria, just watch the previous episodes. If you didn't watch them and you're watching this video, then what are you doing? But yes, the Habsburg in Austria, they go see the Habsburg, and they're like, yeah, can you, become our king, please? And, the Habsburg becomes king of Hungary, and an alliance is created, kind of. It's not really, it's an economical alliance, at least for now, and between the two Habsburg states. And speaking of kingdoms and stuff, yeah, I don't have a transition. We go to Yugoslavia, which is a kingdom, although with a parliament, due to the fact that, like in North Online, the forces of Tito during World War II still did a great job, although they didn't liberate the whole country, because in Old New World, some British forces also liberated it. So the old government is back, but it has a compromise with a constitution, which is mainly dominated by the Communist Party for now, due to the fact that they're really popular, due to the 14 World War II. And, well, you see, Yugoslavia kind of got screwed over in this timeline, because they were in the Allied side, but like the loose landing, didn't get anything compensation. And so, they're asking for compensation in terms of land. And the Allies, the main Allied power, and France, so basically UK, USA, Soviet Union, and France meet up and say, okay, so what do we give them? And now there is, because technically, the Eastern European states are not puppet to Moscow. They're technically fully independent, and this is the case for Romania. But they all know that it's not the case, so they got a plan to make the Soviet, prove that the Soviet actually do have control over those states and that they're actually puppets. They're like, well, what if we give them land from Romania, which is technically is not a puppet to the Soviets, but it in fact is. And strangely, the West is like, when they're obviously going to say no, which is going to prove that they're actually control state. And surprisingly, the Soviets say yes. And the reason is simple. Yugoslavia is in the parliament is mainly communist, but not fully. It's only 48% communist party. So, by giving them a part of a communist country, they think that that's going to make more voters vote for the communist party in Yugoslavia and makes Yugoslavia communist. So that's their plan. But the West doesn't know that. So they accept, and Yugoslavia gets compensation, making the border really, really, really ugly. But that is not my problem. Also, Malaysia, they get a referendum. They choose to become independent, and 2 seconds after they do this, they decide to join Japan under the same level of autonomy as Indonesia. So yeah, Japan just be like, guess Japan just have asked as nations instead of invading them. So just have done some referendum and voting and shit. Well, it's never too late. Also, yes, the US has takes this island and is now part of the US. Yeah, I wanted to mention that. And now we go to Iran, which is normally, it's Iran. And Iran in this time gets a revolution, the Islamic Revolution, with a civil war. And now in this timeline, they still got the decking revolution there, since they're still there. Also, the revolution starts, but they don't only have that. They also got another group, which is, actually is like, well, no, we prefer so they don't want, an Islamic, really, really Islamic state, but what do they want is more power for the old nobility and the Shah, not an Islamic leaders like those guys. They don't want a Shia leader, say, the old family of the Shah, so this one. Yeah, this, unlike the others, those guys, they want the Shah, this family, to have more power. But, they aren't against, the liberalization ideas of this Shah, so, and they actually managed to win the civil war, so, they're not fully democratic, like there is no votes, but at least they're liberal, so that's a bit better. But yeah, those guys won the civil war, so now we got an Iran that is basically just the Persian Empire, because they're kind of like we should get back the Persian Empire land. So yeah, I don't know if that's necessarily better than what we got in real life, but hey, we got something, I guess. Zayn got something, because it's not our timeline. Also, yeah, we go to not that far away from Iran. We go to the Indian subcontinent, because Pakistan and India are doing thing of Pakistan and India. When Pakistan declared war on India for annexing those Muslim majority land, and also for Kashmir, because of course. And the war in Suzapur starts, and at first it's going really well for Pakistan. They managed to capture some land, and push close to the capital, which I think is here, or did they change it? I don't remember. But after, receiving aid from, well, ironically, the UK, out of all people, out of all countries, and also France, and also the US, because, I mean, AIDS is a big word, but like more small AIDS. And, with the population gap too, India managed to push back and just, and managed to get, push back around the, and they managed to push back around the old borders, and then, ceasefire is signed, and this is the official peace deal. Yeah, all of that for just, losing this. Yeah, wow, that was really anticlimactic, huh? Oh yeah, I also forgot. I forgot to decolonize Nigeria, and we're going to end it there, Yeah, that was not really full of events, but hey, it's going to be a long series, and I don't want this video to last, 30 minutes. So we're going to end there. I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I just recorded like 2 videos before, and I'm kind of sick. I'm kind of tired because I didn't sleep enough. Yeah, so if my voice is a bit weird, yeah, that's normal. See you next time. Don't forget to like and subscribe. That was Ian Paleo Historian. Yeah.